let's see. This is the beautiful bundle that we are crafting with today. It is called Memorable Blooms. It is a stamp and die bundle. Remember, you save 10% when you get both the stamp set and the dies together. We are going to be making 4 cards, as I said. And you know what? Before I move on, let's talk about where you can find this bundle. I have been mistakenly telling my team that it's an online exclusive when it's not. It's actually found right here in the January to April mini catalog. It's on page 50. You can see the pretty flower designs and those great sentiments that help you create the cards. So Stampin' Up! Has some pretty ideas here. I'm going to add to those to give you more inspiration on what you can do with this bundle. So let's just see if I can get in just a tiny bit closer. I'm always trying to bring you in. Don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll give it a shot. There we go, and I'm going to push up just the tiniest bit here, move some things out of the way. All right, my friends, welcome in. This is Just Stamp. I am going to be crafting today with the Memorable Blooms bundle. We are creating 4 cards today. It's a full class, and if you would like to get the kit for these cards, there are several ways you can do that. One, you can place an order with me of just $40, and I will send you the pre-cut card kit and the PDF tutorial for free. You do need to use the host code, and I'm going to be placing that link up above this video or in the description of the card class. Let's get started on card number 1. So that's just one way you can get this card class. This is my first card. You can see it's got a large, pretty floral design. This is just a Love and Thanks card. And I'm using one of the ink colors called Peach Pie. I think it's perfect for spring. It's a beautiful, soft orange. If you wanted to accent it, you could use pumpkin pie. And in fact, that's what I'm going to be doing. The card base is Peach Pie, and it's the standard card size. It's 5.5 by 8.5, and I have pre-scored it, as I will for your kit as well. I always love to pre-score it. Makes the fold just a little bit crisper and very professional looking. So I'm going to go corner to corner, match it up, use my bone folder to crease that down. So I'm just going to burnish that down. There's my card base. And so if you're creating a card from one cardstock sheet, you will get 2 cards with this dimension. I also have a layer that I have pre-embossed with the beautiful Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder. So it's huge. You will need the standard cut and emboss machine to emboss with this folder. And it's got just a beautiful, fun plaid background. I love this folder. That it can go with so many moods, so many designs, so many stamp sets. So as I said, I have pre-embossed it with that Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder. And this layer measures 5 by 3 3/4. It's going to be flat adhered. Not going to adhere it yet though. I'm going to add a little bit of embellishment to it. I have a small cut of the Bloom Impressions patterned paper. It is a celebration pick that you can get with a $60 order. On the flip side, you're going to see the florals, the pretty yellow. On the other side, it's a soft peach pie and white flowing flower background. This cut measures 1 3/4 by 5 inches, and it's just enough to accent, give a little bit of pattern to the plaid layer. But I'm also going to embellish that with a little, I call it like a little slip. It's got a scalloped edge, and I pre-cut this in basic white using the Round We Go dies. That bundle, by the way, is very handy. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to encourage you to look either in the annual catalog or online. Just type in Round We Go. You're going to see the dies in that bundle. This particular die has two edges to it. So you can use either the scalloped edge or just across from it, you're going to have a zigzag edge. You could use either one. Either one would be adorable, but I picked the scalloped edge to use. All right, I am going to need to trim this off. So I know it's going to be trimmed right here at that juncture or that connection point. If you were going to make one of the floral discs from the Round We Go, you would want to connect two. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to use that edge, and this is going to be flat adhered to the pattern paper. Let's see if I've got some Tombow liquid glue. It's my favorite adhesive. So forgiving, so economical, so easy to work with. It's very rarely a challenge. Some of the other adhesives are a little bit of a struggle once in a while, so I'm just going to adhere that flat. I want that scallop to peek out about 1/4 of an inch. You can see how pretty it looks. I always think it's like a little slip peeking out from the hem of a dress or a skirt. So sweet. I am going to adhere this flat to the right of the embossed layer. And again, I'm just going to use my Tombow liquid glue. Now, if you're a member of my team, you have created these cards. These have a slight twist to them. I did a little bit of experimenting with the team. This is my Sweet and Simple, with a stress on simple, card class, and I am offering it in person as well on February 15th. So there's a second way you can get these cards. If you come in person to my class on the 15th, we're going to be creating 2 of each of these cards. I will post the link to join that class above the video when we're done here. So then I'm going to add this flat to my card base as well. Now, the awesome thing about coming to the in-person class, if you're local to me, one, it is always more fun to craft with friends. So there's always a nice group of like-minded crafters to sit around the crafty table and enjoy stamping and making cards. Plus, you get free access to all of the tools and inks and stamps that you need to create the cards. So if you're on the fence about the bundle, you can always come to the live in-person class. You don't have to purchase the bundle. You'll still get to make your cards. It's a beautiful bundle. However, you might want to consider adding it to your cart. All right, so we have the foundation of the card built. We're going to do some stamping now. So I'm going to set this aside. You can see I've got that beautiful floral arrangement that we're going to stamp, color, die cut to add to our card front. So for that, I'm going to be stamping on just a scrap of basic white. I've got this is the biggest blossom stamp in the stamp set. So I've got it actually mounted on block E, and I'm going to ink up. And at first glance, you're going to think, oh, she's stamping in white pigment ink, but I'm not. I have created a black ink pad with that craft pad. I just filled it with tuxedo black ink. And you can see it's a big stamp, so I flip my stamp over. I'm going to add my ink. I'm going to push that aside. And I'm going to stamp down onto my basic white scrap. And I'm going to press firmly. It's a big stamp. You've got a lot to cover. So I'm going to press firmly on that, and fingers crossed I get an inking that I'm happy with. Yes, indeed. Look how pretty that looks already, right? I'm going to set this aside. And we are going to color this one. So during class today, we're going to be using 2 color techniques. The first technique is going to be with the blends, and I'll tell you what I'm using. I am using Lemon Lolly, Peach Pie, Pumpkin Pie, and Lemon Lime Twist. So let's get coloring. I'm going to start with my Lemon Lime Twist, which is for the leaves. See if my brush tip will work. And so I've got some larger leaves. And when you're using your blends, you have a choice. You can either lay down your darker color first and then blend in with the lighter, or you can just use the lighter and add some shadow and detail with the darker blend. So either way is right. You'll get good results however you choose. And I'm kind of concentrating on this because sometimes I forget to do little pieces of the images. You can always go back and fill in, of course. So this bundle, let's see, the Memorable Blooms on page 50. I was going to tell you the price point on it, but I don't have that handy. It has 6 coordinating dies. So some of the dies outline cut the stamped images, and then there are also dies, detail dies that add the leaf branches, the peekaboo octagons, and a beautiful detailed octagon with the floral blooms in it. So it has become one of my favorites. It didn't jump out at me the first time I looked at the mini catalog, but again, it's become a favorite. It's very useful. The pretty flowers, perfect for springtime, right? Whether you are doing subtle spring colors or you want to do colors that are a little bit brighter, a little bit bolder, and I've kind of gone middle ground with my spring colors. I love the way the cards turned out. I hope you do too. What do you think? So there's my lemon lime twist. Now, as I said, I'm going to come in with the darker blend, and this time I'm going to use the pen tip. Sometimes we call it the bullet tip. Sometimes I want to be careful of saying that word on Facebook. I don't want to get banned. All right. So as you can see, I'm just adding a little bit of the darker detailing on the leaves, and I'm going with where the stamped images have the darker accents. Super easy to color. This is the shadowy bits. The thing about the Stampin' Blends is they're super easy to use. They make everybody look like an artist. Even when you don't feel confident that you are, they do a pretty impressive job every time. All right, so there is my lemon lime twist. I laid down all the leaves, so hopefully I didn't miss any. The next color I'm going to come in with is my lemon lolly, and I'm going to be doing the smaller flowers and the little buds. So I'm going to come in and lay down, color in those small flowers and the smaller buds. And I'm going to do, this is the light lemon lolly. I'm going to do the same as I did with the lemon lime twist and add a little bit of the darker coloring in just a second. There we go. Not a lot. I'm going to bring in my pen tip and add a little bit of shadowing. Just give a little bit more depth to those pretty little posies. Oh my gosh, these flowers are so sweet. Can you see how pretty that looks already? Very springy. And I am not certain, maybe you know what kind of flowers these are. I don't know. So I'm going to start off with actually this time I'm going to do the flip. I'm going to start off with the darker. This is pumpkin pie, and I'm going to do just as I do the detail on the flowers, just like I colored the leaves with the darker bits on the shadow areas. And then I'll bring in my peach pie to blend in the color. There we go. And bring in peach pie, my brush tip, and blend that in. Peach pie is an in color. I think it's 24, 26 in color. Coordinates nicely with pumpkin pie and many of the other staple colors and even the in colors that we have currently. This Sweet and Simple class does feature about, I want to say at least 3 of the 24, 26 in colors. So, and I don't know that I have a favorite. I love the Pretty in Pink, I love the Petunia Pop, and I love the Peach Pie. I'm going to bring in the dark Peach Pie as well and do the same here. So we've got a little bit more color on these little flowers. So if you're local, I hope you'll consider joining me for class. If you're not local, remember you can get the kit to create the cards for free with just a $40 order. If you bump up your order, you'll get to up to 60. You'll get to choose a celebration item, and I would suggest the Bloom Impressions paper. All right, so there is our finished image, all colored in. I'm going to die cut that now. And this will pass through on the mini. Let's see. I'm looking for my die. I had it here just a second ago. Let's see. Gotta organize. Get some things out of the way. Where, Mercy, did I put that die? Can you see where I put the die? This is crazy. Found it? All right. So the sandwich for this is the plate number 3. I'm going to put a cutting pad on the bottom, my paper, and I am going to lay the die in position, and then I'll hold my breath because I didn't bring any Post-it tape. There we go. Bring it down just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to add my plate number 2 on top and crank this through. Very easy. All right, let's see what we got. And that fits very nicely through the mini cut and emboss machine. Put that right back. I'm going to get rid of my rubbish. And I've got my die cut. And I am now going to add it to my card front with dimensionals. Yikes, I hope I have a good supply of dimensionals. One thing I didn't check. And these are the standard size dimensionals. And I actually, today I have a decent amount on my sheet. Doesn't happen often. I go through a lot of dimensionals there. And peel these off. Now, if you are either a demonstrator already, or you have another demonstrator, or you already have this bundle and the paper, you can still get the PDF tutorial with all the measurements, the recommended supplies, and the step-by-step also. So there's another way to get your hands on this card class. I'm going to add a pretty ribbon. I'm going to bring in my reference card so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to add my ribbon. This is the black and very vanilla large gingham check ribbon, my favorite. And I'm just going to do a medium size floppy bow. I did my bunny loop ear ribbon. I was taught that method by team member Nikki. And I'm going to trim that off. I'm going to see if I can access my ribbon scissors. These are the large ribbon scissors, and they're sharp. So they will cut that ribbon without chewing through it. Now I'm going to add my ribbon to my card front. Ribbon I like to add, ribbons and bows I like to add with mini glue dots. So I'm just going to put a couple actually to hold it firmly. There, and it's going to go right through the base of that little bouquet of flowers. We're going to add a sentiment. On a 1/2-inch strip of basic white, we're going to bring in the Love and Thanks. And I'm stamping again in the Tuxedo Black. Whoops. And let's see if I can get this right onto, it's hard to stamp over top. How do we do? Not too bad. All right, I'm going to push that aside. We're going to snip this down just a tiny bit. Let's see. And just snip and snip. And this will be added over the ribbon. And let's see if I have some mini dimensionals to put in the corners. I try to avoid double stacking the dimensionals. And that is just sticking. I'm gonna lose that too. All right, so you can see I put one in the upper corner, one in the lower corner. This is gonna be laid right over the ribbon from side to side. Oops, it is just, there we go. There's something sticky on one of the dimensional covers. Okay, so we're gonna push down and let's see if I want that coming down. I'm liking it. What do you think? I think it's a sweet card, right? So Love and Thanks. We're not finished yet. We're going to add some Wink of Stella because the flowers always look so pretty when they shimmer. And I'm just going to go over. This is one of my favorite accessories, Wink of Stella. And I'm putting that over the orange blossoms and the yellow blossoms too. There we go. So you can see, I'll try to bring it to camera so you can see how it shines, right like so. And let's add some embellishments before we go on. The embellishments I'm using for this card, this set of cards, are the 2024-26 in color resin dots. So you get a supply in each in color. And I'm going to be using the Peach Pie. And we'll just drop a couple right onto the card front, one of the large and the small. And you know what? I'm going to throw another little embellishment on here, opposite side. There we go. So there is our Love and Thanks with that big, beautiful blossom in Peach Pie. Memorable Blooms card number 1. I think it's super sweet. We'll go for lots of different reasons for sending a card. And yeah, I hope you like number 1. All right, we are going to use some other elements on the Memorable Blooms bundle. We're going to use this sentiment, You've Been on My Mind. We're using that nice little leaf branch this time, and we're using one of the special dies in the die set. There is a large octagon that has some detailing as you cut it on the inside and on the outside. So let's have a look at that second card. And again, it's featuring the Bloom Impressions paper. This card base is the Petunia Pop, another in color. And I'm using Summer Splash and Shaded Spruce. So let's get started on this card. I'm going to take a sip. I hope you grabbed your favorite beverage too, since we're doing a full card class. All right, so this one, let's keep going. As I said, it's on Petunia Pop, standard card size, so it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And we're going to repeat. If I can find my bone folder, things start to go missing by the first card and things are going missing already. All right, But you know what? I have tools to help me stay organized. I just have to use them. So corner to corner, force that to be a nice, even rectangle. So this is finished size is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. There is my petunia pop. Now this one, the orientation is landscape. So we're going this way. And I have a cut of the Bloom Impressions. This measures 5 1/4 by 4. And I use that die to die cut the window. And you can see the pretty stitching along the outside of the octagon. And we're going to do our stamping on a piece of basic white. That's where we're going to stamp our sentiment. And I'm going to stamp You've Been on My Mind in Blackberry Bliss. So I'm pulling these colors for these cards out of the pattern paper. So you can see the Blackberry Bliss, the Petunia Pop in there. So if you're wondering like what colors go together, just lean on your pattern paper and it'll help you out. Now I'm going to try to go a little bit higher so I can judge where I want my sentiment. So again, Blackberry Bliss, You've Been on My Mind. And I don't know, I'm fingers crossed I stamped in the right spot. And, uh-oh, one of my stamps is missing. Let's see. Let me hunt it down. Hopefully it didn't go too far, right? I'm going to be stamping in Shaded Spruce. Let me see if I can grab the stamp. And it's not in the stamp case, right? Which means it's got to be in one of the boxes. Let me have a look here. Here it is, in the wrong basket. Okay, so I'm using that leaf branch, and we are stamping in Shaded Spruce. So I'm going to ink up, and I'm going to come in tight to the sentiment. Trying to find my way here. I want it to peek as much as possible in that window. It's not too bad. And here's what I'm going to do to color. Actually, I told you at the beginning that we had 2 coloring techniques. We've actually got another technique going on here. So I stamped in Shaded Spruce. I'm now going to take a blender pen and pull some of that color from the ink quick before it dries and add. And I just want to do a couple of brush strokes. I can't do too much or your paper will pill. So you want to make it count when you spread the color. And you can grab from the outline or the inside of the leaves. And we're just being ever so gentle because, again, too much moisture and your paper will pill, but the blending pen has moisture to it to bring in the color from that outline inking. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to fill in each tiny leaf on these stems. So again, this is Shaded Spruce, and I'm using the blender pen to bring in the color. All right, so you can see how I added my color here. Very, very soft. And by the way, when you use your stamping blends, they are reusable. You just want to make sure that you brush off any color, and you want to do that before you put the cap on and put it away, right? All right, so next we're going to adhere this to the card base. And I want to make sure it's going to peek through my window correctly. So, like so. Let's see if I can bring it over just a tiny, nope. It's going to have to be right there. So here's how I help myself. And if I hold this in place, I'm going to bring in a pencil. Just kind of draw my lines of where I want to add that. there, and there. And this is going to be flat adhered. I don't need to worry about those pencil marks because I've got another layer coming in that's going to cover them anyway. And I'm just using, again, flat adhesive. So I'm going to lay right within those marks. Right like so. Doesn't look very pretty yet, but now I'm going to add the layer with that window. And I'm using standard dimensionals to support the window. I love this little floral background. It sort of looks like a watercolor background. All those pretty flowers. So sweet. So you've been on my mind. That card could, for me, it could go out to many friends and family members. Sometimes we think about people and we don't have time all the time to say, oh, I thought about you today, or I'm thinking of you. So remember we're going to have 4 different cards today. Hopefully you're able to sit back and relax. And if you do get this card kit, either of the many ways, you can always come back and re-watch the video to make the projects along with me. All right, so now I'm going to flip this over and make sure that I'm covering and that I'm centered and that I'm even. And I think I'm happy with that. Look how sweet that looks already. But wait, there's more. We have 2 die cuts. These come in the die set. I have cut in Summer Splash and Shaded Spruce. Now I'm going to lay these right over my window. So they kind of add to my design. And let's see, I'm sort of going with the reference card. You don't have to. They don't all have to be laid out the same way, but it's helpful to start someplace, right? So I'm going to lay them there, but I'm also going to add a ribbon as well. That's gingham, black and very vanilla gingham. I'm going to tie my bow, my 2 little floppy ears, come in and twist my ribbon, and then I will just adjust it as needed and trim as soon as I'm happy with the bow. There we go. And I'm going to trim that off with my ribbon scissors. This is going to be adhered to the card front with a mini glue dot, maybe a couple. So I haven't yet secured those die cuts down, did you notice? That's because I want them to lay in place. I don't want to pick anything up. I'm going to bring in my bow right like so. Make sure that my ribbon's not covering my sentiment. Now I'm going to bring in my glue dots, and I'd use my take your pick tool. I'm just going to come in and kind of lift and put my dot right behind and do that a couple of times. So because these are detailed dies, you could apply adhesive sheets behind before you die cut, or you could use just a dot of the liquid glue behind each little leaf. You have various ways of securing them in place. I like to do it this way. Again, it kind of sets them down, arranges them. And you've been on my mind. We're not quite done yet. Let's add our embellishments. So we're going to use the same embellishments. This time we're going to go for those petunia pop embellishments. And let's see, I'll put one down here and put a couple up here. Oops, I want it over. And right so. All right, you've been on my mind. Petunia pop floral with the Summer Splash and the Shaded Spruce. I love this color combo. So pretty. And the Blackberry Bliss pairs nicely with the Petunia Pop. So 2 cards so far with this memorable Blooms bundle. I hope I'm going to convince you that you want this bundle. I'm going to take a sip before we go on to our next card. And let me move things out of the way. Make room. I'll show you card number 3. This time we're going for a nice bright Melon Mambo. Thanks so much. Another card that's always great to have on hand. All right, let's see what we got here. My card base, as I said, is Melon Mambo. Standard card size. These are my sweet and simple cards. So it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We're going to burnish that down. By the way, I haven't been completing the insides of the cards. Because these are all on colored cardstock, I would add an insert of basic white, probably, maybe about 3 3/4 by 5. And you can either leave the greeting blank, or no greeting, or you could stamp a greeting as well. It kind of depends on how you like to send your cards off. Now I have another cut from that Bloom Impressions paper pack. This has beautiful colors and it's got that shaded spruce, Summer Splash again, Melon Mambo, the pinks, just beautiful colors. On the flip side is a very pretty floral pattern as well. This is the side we're using. This measures 4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to apply flat adhesive. So if you are not a fan of liquid glue, you could be using Seal or Seal Plus, depending on your preference. All right, there's our background. Now we're going to do our stamping on a pre-cut die. I cut from the large octagon in the stamp set. Remember, I said it had detailing on the outside and on the inside. So on the inside cut, we have that cute stitching. On the outside, we had a decorative dot. I'm going to move this over, and we're going to stamp first our sentiment, which is thanks so much. And that is in basic black. And I'm up and slightly to the right. There we go. Thanks so much. Now I'm going to stamp 2 of the little duo of blossoms there, 2 leaves, two posies, 2 leaf branches, and it's going to come up towards the top. I don't want to cover my sentiment. There, and I'm going to flip it and stamp other direction. Hopefully I'm in the right spot. All right, so thanks so much, and we're going to color this as well. This time we are coloring with an ink pad and a watercolor pencil and a water brush. So typically I like to have a paper towel. Let me go grab one. All right, so off to the side here. It's more of a tissue than a paper towel. It's what I've got handy. All right, so let me make some space here. It's getting crowded here. All right, and here's how we're going to do this. First, I'm going to lay down my color for my leaves. So watercolor pencil, it's really easy. You could blend this in with the blender pen that we used on the previous card. You could use the watercolor brush. Because I don't want too much water on it, I am going to just use my blender pen. But here's the thing with the watercolor brushes. You do not need to color and fill in precisely. That's why we have the blender pen. So that's the sketchy job I'm doing so far. Now I'm going to bring in my blender pen. and you just use one of the tips, and I'm just gonna color this in. It spreads, again, it's got moisture on it. It spreads the color, and this is the reason why you don't need to color in precisely like you would with a crayon, right? When I was a kid, we colored with a crayon, always colored all the white area. We went up to the line. You don't need to do that with the watercolor pencils. You just kind of need to lay a little scratch of color down. And there we go. So there are my leaves. How pretty. And they kind of pick up the color from that background paper. Now the next thing I'm going to do is color those sweet posies. And for that, I'm using my Melon Mambo ink pad. I'm trying to get a little bit of color onto the lid. Open this up. And let me put my reference card up here. There's my ink pad. I'm going to bring in my watercolor brush, a little bit of water. So I'm just squeezing the tip to blend in. Maybe that was too much. We'll see. All right, let's lay some color on these pretty little flowers. And you can do a wash, or you can do a little bit heavier color, whatever your preference is. So coloring with the ink pad is a great option when you don't have all the blend colors that you think you need. You can make do with your ink pad. And I'm just here, I don't want to go too much outside the line. I know it's watercoloring, but I don't want to stray outside each petal. It will dry quickly if you're not laying too much color on there. So we'll be good to go as soon as I color all the flowers. Don't need to heat set it or anything. There we go. And one more pair of posies. I'm going to be asking which card is your favorite. It's hard for me. I think I'm liking the peach pie, but we'll see. We'll see if you agree. And I think I like that peach pie because it's the one that features that big, beautiful branch with lots of small flowers on it. Very sweet. The watercolor brushes are sold in sets of 3, I believe. And once you have one set, they will last you forever. You can just wash them off at the kitchen sink. I will say these screw on backwards. To me, it's backwards anyway. So if you're struggling to get them unscrewed when you first get them and you want to load the cylinder cell with water, you just have to twist in what would be the opposite direction of the usual way to open things. All right. I don't want to add too much water because I used Tuxedo black ink. Typically with watercolors or blending pens, you want to use StazOn ink. And I just go ever so light with the water so I don't have to do that. So there's my focal point art. I could add as well my Wink of Stella if I knew where it was. Let's bring it over and see if we can add a little bit of sparkle in here. You can also color with Wink of Stella. There we go. And again, I don't want to lay down too much moisture. Just a little bit of shimmer on the flowers. there. And let's bring in our card base. This will be on our card front with dimensionals. So it looks like I'm at the end of some sheets. These little tiny edge pieces. I use every last bit of the dimensionals, and I still go through plenty. So let's see. There. All right, and one in the middle for support. Take the backing off. So we had 11 thanks. Let's see, you've been on my mind. And this one is a thanks so much. And we're going to put this a little bit towards the top. And we're going to add our gingham bow, floppy ears, loops. And I can hear, I don't know if you can hear it on camera, Fergus is on patrol. Oh, that went way wrong. And you notice I don't cut my ribbon until I'm happy with my bow. That alleviates some waste on the ribbon. Plus, if you try to be too thrifty with the ribbon, sometimes you wind up wasting more when you don't cut a long enough piece. So not cutting, whoops, this one's not going so easily. I don't know if I should start over, just keep tweaking it. I think it's gonna be okay though. All right. I think Fergus threw me off guard. Let's trim that up, and I've got a couple of frays on this side, so let's trim that. And we're gonna add this. I'm gonna do it a little bit differently. I'm gonna put it over on the right. On the reference card, I have it slightly to the left. No two handmade cards are alike, right? So this one I'm gonna put over towards the right, but we're not done yet. We want some embellishments. Let's see what we've got. We are going to be using the, let's see, I'm gonna use the, what is this? The Shy Shamrock, I think. So let's add one down here, a couple at the top. I'm going to use smaller ones at the top. There we go. Thanks so much. There is my Melon Mambo card with the Pretty Posies watercolored off to the side. Kind of nice reflection of the watercolored background. That's our third card already with Memorable Blooms and the Bloom Impressions pattern paper. All right, so let's keep going with another card. And this one is going to be featuring that gorgeous detailed die that is in the coordinating die set. Let's show you how I created this, because of course I pre-cut so that I wouldn't go too long on my class. So there are two dies to create the one effect. One is the outline cut, and one is the cutaway with the flowers. Now, if you don't use the outline cut, this is just going to be cut into the main cardstock piece. If you want the actual loose image, you need to have the outline die, which is what I've done here. So I used the two dies, and we've got a Pretty in Pink card base. We have a basic white card base, and here's what I'm saying. I used my cutout to cut the basic white. I took a second sheet of basic white and cut, or actually this is what I got here. I used my pattern paper, and cut into the pattern paper with the outline die, and then right in the same pass, I placed that detailed die and ran it through the cut and emboss machine, the two dies at once. that gave me my detailed die cut with, whoops, the pretty stitching on the outside and those beautiful posies and leaves cut right into the image there. And we are going to be creating our I appreciate your thoughtfulness card. So pretty in pink, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Let's do our folding and burnishing. So right on the score line, corner to corner, use the bone folder to get that nice crisp edge there. And here's what we're going to do. We are going to add our basic white layer, and this is going to be popped up. Let me think this through with dimensionals, make sure I'm doing it right. I don't want to steer you wrong. So I need dimensionals. Let's bring those in. And we'll place some on the corners. Now, at the beginning of the class, I said I had a nice full sheet of dimensionals. It didn't take long to go through some of these. Then I'm also going to put some dimensionals closer to the octagon. So let's see, I want regular scissors. So now I'm using the border, and I'm just going to come in closer to that opening, and maybe a couple in here. This will go onto the card front, so go ahead and remove these. And here's our reference card a little bit closer in. These cards are just so sweet. I think they would cheer up anyone who got them in the mail. All right, now I'm going to have about an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, top, bottom, right, and left. So we've got our little peekaboo window. We're going to do some stamping on the cutout here, and it's actually going to be placed right back inside. I'm going to use this stamp that says, I appreciate your thoughtfulness, and I love the two fonts together, right? That script fonts that's so whimsical, and then the sans serif, I appreciate your. Very pretty the way they married those together. And I'm always picking under to make sure that I don't have ink, excess ink around the rubber, because if you press too hard, you will get that on your cardstock, or you might get the ghost stain, which you don't want. All right, I appreciate your thoughtfulness. This is going to go right inside this cut, and I'm going to use flat adhesive. So if you're watching me live, I appreciate you joining me. If you're watching the replay, be sure to post a comment. Let me know you stopped by. Okay, so that goes right in that slot, right? My next task is going to be to add the die cut, those pretty posies at the bottom, and I want these to pop up. So to add the adhesive for that, I have the adhesive, what are they called? I'm trying to think what would be the correct name for these. The strips, and I'm going to cut them down to size. So it's a little bit longer than it needs to be. Perfect width for the border of this soft die cut. So this is going to elevate it and give you dimension on the card. Right there. Very easy with the strips. And I'm not going to pull all of them off. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and reveal the sticky. Now, if you choose to place your order with me or take this class to go, you will get all of the card bases, the layers, the pattern paper in your kit. The only thing I can't provide are the stamped images. So for that, if you choose not to purchase the memorable blooms, you could always substitute with another floral or stamp set that you already have on hand. So you can get this free with a $40 order. You can come to an in-person class in my studio on February 15th and create the cards. You can purchase the card class to go for just $25 plus shipping. Or if you're a demonstrator or you already have a demonstrator, you can also purchase the PDF with the measurements, the supplies, and the step-by-step included. All right, so we're almost done here. This is a very simple card. We want to go ahead and add our embellishments. And we're using, of course, the Pretty in Pink. And I'm going to bring in a large and a small. And then I'll add another one up right inside here. I appreciate your thoughtfulness. So there we go. I am going to share all 4 Sweet and Simple cards. Let's make some room here. The Sweet and Simple cards featuring the Memorable Blooms bundle and that gorgeous celebration paper that you can get for free with a $60 order during celebration. Celebration ends on February 28th. So let's talk about you and how you can get this class again. So free card class to go when you place a $40 order. It is also free to my new team members who join during celebration. You can come to the in-person class, or you can purchase the class to go, or you can purchase just the PDF. So there we go. Let's spread those out a little bit so you can see all the cards, all the Sweet and Simple cards with the sweetest sentiments. You will be set with your cards on supply. So before we go, tell me in the comments which card was your favorite. I love hearing what you think. And if you found this class helpful, be sure to like, comment, and share. Some more crafty friends can join us next time. If you're new to me here, make sure you follow me so you don't miss out on future classes. And if you're watching the replay, please drop me some questions. I'll answer when I come back. And I want to thank you so much for spending some crafty time with me. Until next time, happy stamping.